So today we'll discuss about Azure Entra ID. So what is the meaning of Azure Entra ID is previously we have AAD, Azure Active Directory. Azure Active Directory name itself now called as Azure Entra ID. Okay, so in order to manage Azure Active Directory kind of services, today we are going to use the Azure Entra ID we are going to use. Okay, so what is the meaning of Active Directory? We know, but in Azure environment, we have Azure Entra ID, so which is used for like creating our own tenants, giving the application access for B2B or B2C kind of things. It's a cloud-based identity and access management solution. Say on premises we have Active Directory, but in the Azure wise, in order to give the access and the permissions to the resources, we are going to use the Azure Active Directory we are going to use, but Azure Active Directory name itself has been called as
Entra ID.
Entra ID. So now Azure has given one more like Entra suite is going to be provided. Microsoft is providing Entra suite in that family. Okay, in that family, like we have a Microsoft has providing Entra Admin Center also. Okay, in the admin center, Entra ID is also now we can control even Intune also. All those products also now they are bringing to integrated with the Entra Admin Center. Entra Admin Center they want to integrate. Okay, so for that purpose, Azure has been providing Entra ID is also one of the part of Entra ID is also one of the part of Entra Admin Center, and even in Azure also we have the Entra ID. It's not only for Azure, for the other applications in the Microsoft also we can use Entra ID. And
Mhm.
what is the tenant is? So by default in our subscription, we have the tenant also is there. For that we are going to give the permissions. Okay, to the tenant we are going to give the permissions and we are going to create the resources also for that. Okay, and Entra Admin Center is a web-based portal for most of the Microsoft Entra products, where it provides administrative efforts to organize the Entra solutions from the single point of location. Entra Admin Center also, so Entra Admin Portal also we have. Okay, in that we have the security identities or the main component is the tenant. So we are going to use tenant is the main component. Okay, so what is the concept of the like a tenant is like as of now we are using like one subscription, right? Say with the tenant, what is the like permission we are giving is so we here we have two terms. Try to understand Azure subscription. We have a free subscription, is that right?
Yes.
If you see most of the resources we have used in that free subscription itself. Okay, tenant is like maybe to the company, organization, or to the person we are going to give. And a tenant can have multiple subscriptions also. A tenant can have,
Yes.
say, if we have the multiple teams, we can have a multiple subscriptions also we can give. You got the point?
Yes, sir.
Tenant may be to a person, company, or to a team also we may give. But for that we may give the different subscriptions. A subscription has been linked to the payment setup and we'll have a separate bill kind of thing we can get it. Okay. And most of the tenants have been linked to one AD or Entra ID account and shared all those tenant subscriptions. But as of now, we have used the free subscription Going forward, we can create the multiple subscriptions also. If we want, we can create. But for that, we need to provide again a separate billing model. And if you use that subscription, the resources, those resources will goes to that billing. So suppose here we have one free subscription, and maybe we can go for going forward, pay as you go. We can create multiple
Subscriptions.
subscriptions also. On top of the subscriptions also, we have some other workflow is there. Say that is also important from the interview wise. What are those? We'll discuss. Say we have management groups on top of subscriptions. What we have is Azure management
Groups.
Groups.
groups. What is the concept of management groups? Is if we have the multiple subscriptions, say in our company we have the multiple subscriptions, those multiple subscriptions also can be managed by those multiple. Say suppose in your organization we may have multiple subscriptions, all those need to be managed, access, policies, compliances. Okay, so that's we can do through the management group. The higher level of the hierarchy is
Management group.
management groups. Management groups provides governance to manage the multiple subscriptions. We can define the policies, compliances, and whether those standards have been met or not. So these all we can manage from management groups. On the
Yes.
management groups below, all these days what we have used is,
Subscriptions.
yeah, we have used the subscriptions. So we have used the subscriptions we have used. Okay, so then in the subscriptions next we have
And
resource groups we will have.
resource.
Okay, so resource groups we can have. On top of the resource groups, normal that resources we are going to keep it. Okay, so normal resources we are going to keep. So now here in this, how many subscription or a single directory can support around 10,000
Groups.
management groups. And management group is also is a tree structured, just like in the domain forest, all that. It's a tree structured, and we can go up to 6 levels of depth. Okay, so management group level, we can go for the 6 level, but only one parent is only each management group will have one management group, but management group can have multiple childs. Okay, so what is the meaning of Azure policies? Azure policies are like some security kind of or compliances wise. We can configure our Azure policies. Lot of inbuilt policies also Azure is providing. I'll tell one example. I want to access one resource. If the user is coming from MFA itself or one particular region itself. Okay, so if the user is coming from that region itself, I want to allow. Or if the user having multi-factor authentication, then only I want to give the access kind of to my Azure resources. These kind of our organization rules we can apply using the Azure policies. If you have the multiple subscriptions at the management group level itself, we can give the subscriptions also. Okay, so we can give the permissions at the subscription level. Okay, either at the subscription level. After that, we are going to create a resource group, right?
Yes,
Can you tell me? Say we created the resource groups like JPMC.
NPCM.
Yeah, so those all the resource groups we have created. Okay, I have given. Say suppose here try to understand one use case. Here I have given one permission. At the resource level, I have uh, Denny kind of rule is there. Okay, can you guess which one will have the high priority? Subscription will have the high priority or resource group?
Subscription.
In this use case, resource group will have the high priority.
Okay.
Okay, but if it is reverse, that means in subscription, Denny resource group
Permission.
allowed.
And
Okay, then what is going to happen? Subscription itself will have the high priority because at the subscription level, we don't have the permission, right?
mm,
Okay, so that means at the billing wise and even in free account also, we are getting a lot of limitations. Only 4 CPUs we can create or three public IPs only because that policy they have enforced that
subscription level.
subscription level they have enforced. That is the reason even if we want to try to give at resource group level, it is not allowing.
Yes.
Even if we give at the resource group level also, there is no use for that policy.
Okay.
So because at the subscription level itself, we don't have the. But if the policy has been permission or allow at the subscription level, even if you deny at resource group level, resource group will have the higher priority.
Okay.
Okay. But even if you give the any kind of permission, that means we don't have that policy or permission itself at subscription level. If you allow resource group level, then resource group level will have the subscription only will comes.
Yes.
By default, when we create, we are going to get the tenant root account. Okay, so suppose if you go for this, here in the Entra ID, if you go for the tenants, by default, we got the tenant ID. So we are using that the tenant ID itself every day, we are using to create the resources. Okay, so now here if you see this primary domain, Mr. Ashok, so you created with this directory itself, and we may have the users also can be created. So manage the tenants and we can create our own tenants also. By default, we are using this default directory we are going to
Yes.
use. But what is the Entra ID we are using is for every account Entra ID free is there and even Entra ID premium kind of license models also we have. Okay,
Hmm.
so I want to check the sign-ins. What are the sign-ins came in from the last 30 days? For the free account, they're not giving. So for this, what we need to do?
Premium.
Yeah, we need to purchase the Entra ID premium. That means as of now, we are using Entra ID free plan, but even in that premium also around two more plans are there. So what are those Entra ID premium? Mostly in the enterprises, it's recommended to go for Entra ID premium kind of things itself. Because even for the Azure AVD resources to give the permissions also, we need to know these all very well.
Yes.
Okay. So then here we'll create one more tenant also. We will create one more tenant also we will create. So definitely with the Entra ID, yeah, here P1, P2 we have. Okay, Entra ID P1 and P2 like this, P1, P2, we are going to access and P2 suite also. Some Entra PT, Entra suite also is there. Okay, so it depends upon the user requirement. We need to use mostly with the Intune kind of thing or with the Microsoft 365 customers, with all those integrations if we want also, we need to use these premium plans we need to purchase. Okay, so we have Microsoft Entra ID P1, P2, Entra ID suite. Okay, so these all the pricing plans and the billing also maybe differs from one plan to another plan. But Entra ID is given by free of cost. Okay, Entra ID is given at the free of cost, but more resources with the on-premises kind of communication, like more features have been given. So suppose here Entra ID is free, and with the Microsoft Cloud subscriptions like Azure and Microsoft 365, they're going to give it. And even it supports the multi-factor kind of authentications also supporting. Okay, so but we have limited access compared to like P1, P2 or suit kind of things. Okay, so limited access compared to suit. Okay, so mostly you can tell enter suit. So here if this is 500 user, this is for the user level, they are going to charge.
Per user.
Yeah, per user level, they are going to charge this. Okay. So
Okay.
these like this here we'll create our own tenant also if we want to create. So already by default when we created that account itself we got this. Okay, so now here we are going to create one tenant we will create. So we are going to create one a tenant. Okay, so either we can use the tenant type is like a but paid mail license is required for this. By default, we got the tenant. But here, what is the meaning of B2C is business to? So with the like a third party, any clients we want to give we have third party applications are there. Okay, so for the third party applications, we want to give the permissions. Okay, so that means um, Active Directory, previously it's called as Active Directory, business to
No.
business to customer is also one of the like identity service which provides like authentications from the third party applications also, because this is the part of even Entra ID itself. Like any business or individual who want to authenticate using federation kind of service. I hope you know about Active Directory federation services. Okay, say we want to authenticate through APIs, or maybe say suppose even we can use Google API, right? If you want to, most of the applications in Myntra, Facebook, you can log in maybe sometimes with the Google access also.
Yes, sir.
Because most of the people are using Google, Facebook, because that is one of the white label kind of authentication solution.
Mm.
Seamlessly with their mobile and web-based applications, they can integrate with that. So then here we have a single sign-on access kind of with the user provided identity. Users can use those authentication protocols and they can integrate also with their applications also they can integrate. Okay, if they have any internal authentication solution or with the external user stores, if we want to integrate our applications, then we need to go for the B2C. Say here, but customers own, like here they're telling the customers need to pay their license fees also, depends upon that. Okay, so here if you want to choose AD, so here we need to provide organization name, initial domain name, the location. So with this we can create the multiple B2C kind of organizations also we can create. Okay, so in this we can create use the resource groups. And we have the free subscription. So with this, we are going to create one more tenant, and to the tenant, we are going to give the business to customer identity kind of service. So if the users want to use any of the third party or maybe white label kind of authentication services, for them we need to create this kind of tenant service. And Azure policy also is very, very important. We can create our own policies also. But what is going to happen with the Azure policy is like we can create our own organization standards and access complaints, limitations. Those all we can define through. Oh,
Policies.
okay. So I want to allow to not say you want to use Central US or maybe East US. You want to provision the resources, but in my company or in my organization, I want to restrict like users. I don't want to give the permission to create resources in other regions. Even we are getting even at the subscription level, Azure itself has enforced that policy. That is the reason we are not able to create the resources in some regions. Okay. So for our company also, what we want to do, we want to ensure our team need to use or need to deploy the resources only in the allowed regions we want to give. Okay. Otherwise, they need to give the appropriate tax in our company. That means our company need to use appropriate tax. If I don't use the tax to my resources, I don't want to allow to provision the resources. Okay, we have a validation, right? At that validation, even these policies also at the resource level are going to validate. Okay, or these also are going to validate whether those policies have been enforced properly or not. Okay, so then here what is the meaning of like a policy is a policy we are going to define either mostly the inbuilt policies. Okay, otherwise we can define our own like custom policies also we can define. Okay, so from this, we are going to manage the resources. Whenever the resource has been created with the policy scope, okay, within that it's going to validate that policy has been enforced or not. So here we'll see some of the policies. Most of them, these are inbuilt policies we have. So these all the policies has been inbuilt policies. We are in the scope of free trial. So here we can see the assign the policies. Most of them, these all the policies has been who given these policies for us?
Azure.
Azure has given because these are called as the built-in kind of
Policies.
policies. Say suppose here, maybe public network access. So here we have one policy is there, public network access. So it's going to audit Azure resources that allow access from the. So this is like maybe we can assign this policy to. We need to assign this policy to which of the resource we want to apply. So these all the inbuilt policy definitions. Okay, maybe related to multi-factor authentication will have the policy. Okay, so then we can create our own policy definition also. Okay, so our free subscription, this is the scope because at the resource group level or maybe at the subscription level. Here I'm going to enforce this at. Okay, say we are enforcing now this at our own policy like we are going to create. Okay, so here we are going to create our own policy. Like in this, we went for our own, say maybe storage account or something we have, and we went to say create a new or existing one. and policy rule. Import sample policies from the GitHub. Otherwise, we can create, this is the JSON kind of format, and to which location you want to give the permission. Okay, for which resource you want to give this. Okay, so now here, if you give like maybe not in that region, okay, that location is, you can give that location. What is this policy is going to define is, if not in this field, that means in that region, it is not going to create the resource. And if you give the allow locations, only in that allow location itself, it is going to create the resource. Okay, if I apply this in the subscription level, users can't create the resources. Only in the allowed regions only they're going to create the resources. If they don't allowed, that allowed is not going to be created. Okay, in these regions, like in the field, we are going to give the type and which is the equal. Say in that equals or in. So these are all the regular expressions we have. If we specify not in that it's not going to in. Okay, so these all like in, equal, not equal. So these all just like the regular expressions we need to specify. Okay, so type is like the location wise or like this we are going to create and most of the template definitions Azure has given in the GitHub also. Most of the template definitions has been given by. So here we can import those policy definitions from GitHub also. So that means for every JSON format, so for Kubernetes related or what are the built-in policies, these all the JSON definitions they have already. So these also we may customize as per our requirement. So now here this is not allowing to create some dashboard something. Okay, so now here like policy type is built-in mode. Okay, so what the parameter it is using is, so this is the type is portal in the dashboards. Okay, so then like how many number of count we can create. So these all the inbuilt policies depends upon our requirement. We need to change this in the JSON format, and this policy we can define in this definition. Okay, so here in this we can define that definition, and according to that, that policy is going to be enforced for that subscription, subscription. Okay, for that subscription, we are going to apply that policies. Mostly we can use the inbuilt what are the policies we have. Otherwise, we can create our own policies also we are going to create. So like this, we are going to create and assign a policy definition. Using the ARM template also we can assign, or we have one PowerShell command like new aged policy definition we have. So using that also we can create our own policies we can assign. Okay, so these all like we required knowledge because in the job there may be multiple subscriptions. All those in the AVD environment we don't get the access for all this. But if you are itself is managing Microsoft also, then we need like idea in all this. But when we are working with the AVD, we will raise the request to this Entra admin teams for this for all these management groups, for the subscriptions, to give the tenant kind of access. All these normally in that environment we are going to use like that we are going to use. We are not directly going to use all this, but we require the basic knowledge. In all this, we require the basic knowledge in this. Okay, so here 1 second, that subscription also is mostly created. But this is not normal tenant. So here for this tenant level also we can have the policies, all those we can assign. This cloudsoft dot we can like add our identity providers and our own applications. If you have like not our applications, these may be third party user applications, all those also we can add it. So then those applications, if they want to communicate with any of the third party APIs or for the authentication purpose, those identity providers also we are going to use. So if you have a use case of your business applications in your account want to communicate with any of the third party kind of applications is want to communicate for that purpose, we are going to use the Azure AD B2C. Okay. Previously, like for Azure AD B2C, they're not changed the name. They're continuing with the same one itself. Say here we need to add our identity providers. These all normally we no need to do it, but these subscriptions, management groups, multiple subscriptions also we can have in the management groups, then resource groups. On top of that, we have the resource levels. And administration-wise policies also, we require the little bit knowledge on the policies. Then how we are going to create the, like in that when we created the tenants, we'll create the users, and from that Azure AVD wise, we will create in the tomorrow class. Tomorrow I'll explain from the Azure AVD wise, because these all the prerequisites and we require the knowledge in those. So tomorrow we'll start with the Azure AVD.
Okay.
So in the tenants also will create the users and to that users will give the permissions from the AVD wise. Okay, so that's we'll discuss in the tomorrow class. Okay.
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 Yeah.